What's up, guys? I'm so excited that you're here. Are you excited for my new show? I am. Stay tuned. Today's episode is going to be about 5 ways that girls disempower themselves and don't even realize it. I'm going to go over the 5 ways they disempower themselves and what to do about it. That includes 3 negative beliefs that girls come up with when they're younger that they actually carry into their adult life. It's these 3 negative beliefs that they think that kills their self-esteem. So we're gonna go over that today, so that way you can kind of just be aware of it and get rid of that stuff. We don't need that anymore. We wanna be happy, we wanna feel confident. The other 2 things are gonna be why you don't have to marry young. So many times girls feel this pressure, like life is all about getting married and you have to find someone and you have your entire life to find the right person. Don't rush yourself. Life is about exploring you and developing you first. And the next one is, there's no rush for kids either. I want you to develop you so you're happy, you're having fun, you're living an amazing life, and you could focus on you first before having to be responsible for someone else. And if you wait and you get to that place of feeling really good and happy and secure within yourself, then when you're a mom, it's not gonna be as stressful. You're gonna have everything under control, and then you can have kids. So no rush. And then 2 bonuses, which will be at the end of the episode, is 3 positive ways you could move past COVID. Like, aren't we ready to move on? I know I am. I know I learned some stuff. It wasn't easy. I actually have never appreciated going out to restaurants more than I do now. And I've been sitting home a lot. So 3 positive ways you could move past COVID. And the other bonus at the end is how to start your day on the right foot every day so you start loving life. Hey guys, it's Connie from Start Loving Life. I'm super excited you're watching my new television show. As many of you know, I also have another television show, which is Date Night with Connie and Chrissy, that I do with my best friend. And we give dating advice, and we have different guests and celebrities come out and hang out and do happy hour. But with the whole COVID thing, we're in a little bit of a break, right? So I thought it was a great opportunity to start to do a show that I've always been wanting to do. And it's something similar to if you do watch my date night television show, where I do give weekly Start Loving Life tips. I wanted to create a show that really was a safe, fun space where I could teach people simple tools and techniques to start loving life. So I'm a life coach here on Long Island, and I work with adults and I work with kids, but a large target market for me are my kids. And I work with teens. The youngest is 7. Usually a popular age to come to see me is like 12, 13, 16, 17, and then right before they go to college. So what I do is I teach kids how to start loving life in as little as 30 days. As little as 30 days, isn't that crazy? So what I want to do with this show is I want to really give you tools and techniques to really start feeling better about yourself. And it's funny because when I work with clients, the one thing I always ask them in the beginning, I always say, how many people do you really know that are super happy and excited about life? And it's funny because they always have a hard time answering that question because they've never thought about it before. And so I laugh because I know when they're gonna, they're like racking their brain trying to think, and they usually come up with like 1 or 2 or maybe 3, and even 3 is kind of pushing it. Normally people don't say 3, but it's always a low number. And I say, yeah, isn't that crazy that out of everyone that you only know a couple people that are super happy. And so what I do is I teach you what 99% of the world doesn't know. And that's really how to be happy, how to have fun, how to start loving life, something that we're really not taught to do. And when you think about it, there are so many people that are bogged down in work, stressed out, anxious, worried, and more so now than ever with the whole COVID thing. But even before that, people were still stressed out, bogged at work, worried, and anxious. So really, things have escalated with that, but nothing has really changed. Everything that people are feeling now, they were kind of feeling before. So what I do is I teach people how to love life, how to have fun, how to be super confident, how to believe in yourself. So with this show, I'm excited because I really want to help people see that there is a better way, and it's actually not even hard. It's actually easy. It's so easy, and it's so funny too, because it's easy to start loving life. The hardest part is forgetting what you already know. Does that sound so contradictory? But the reason, or what I mean by that, is that when you learn how to start loving life, it's going to make so much sense. And really the hardest part is forgetting the stupid nonsense that you were taught growing up. A lot of it is BS. A lot of it isn't true. A lot of what you were taught growing up on how you should be, how you should act, who you should be, what you should do, all that stuff is the reason why you're being held back now. All that stuff is the reason why you're not having fun now. All that stuff is the reason why you're not living life now. And when you realize how many things that we're taught growing up that actually hold us back, it makes sense why there's so many people stressed out, anxious, and worried about life, because they don't really understand the power that they have within themselves to create an amazing life. So this show is really about that. It's teaching you simple, easy ways that you're going to start living life. In this first episode, which is my first show ever, by myself anyway, is going to be focused on how to start living life as a girl. So for me, I learned a lot of this stuff in my mid-20s, and I only wish I knew this stuff when I was younger. And it's funny because when I first started my life coaching practice, I work with adults, I work with professionals, I work with attorneys, real estate agents, I worked with business people, I worked with adults. And they would have such success with my Start Loving Life program that they would say, Con, this was so great. I would love to bring you my kid. And at first I was like, kids? I don't have any kids. I'm like, And finally I'm like, all right, bring in your kid. And I created a kids program specific for kids. And I realized that the kids were getting such great success. And I realized that these kids were so receptive and so open. And I thought to myself, wow, I live a very amazing life now, but I could have lived an amazing life when I was a teen had I known this stuff back then. And I realized that there was such a need for it. And every time I spoke to a parent and, they would share how their child has been in therapy or is looking for help and really lacks confidence or really, really just needs to know simple things on how to start feeling better about themselves, it made me realize how important this was and how kids need to learn this. And everyone needs to learn this. Adults need to learn this. And I still work with adults, but my biggest, most fun I have is really seeing a child understand that life is supposed to be amazing for them. Life is supposed to be fun. They are meant to do something they love out of life. They are meant to be confident. They are meant to believe in themselves. When you teach a child that young, it is a game changer. So today's episode is going to be focused on girls. How to start loving life as a girl. How do you start looking at things a little differently? How do you stop listening to the noise that you have in your mind about who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to look? So in today's episode, we're going to go over a couple things. The first thing is the 3 ways girls hold themselves back. And they do it by 3 things that they're taught growing up, which actually is responsible for low self-esteem, lacking confidence, and not feeling good about yourself. It's actually 3 things that we learn growing up that actually holds us back, that today we're going to go over why it's not true and what is true and how you're going to implement it today. The second thing is why marriage is not the end-all be-all. Growing up, girls are taught that the goal in life is you go to school, you get good grades, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, and then it's like a fairy tale. And life is a fairy tale, but that's not the fairy tale you want. The fairy tale you want is independence. Girls, the true freedom you are looking for is independence. So you never have to rely on anyone but yourself for happiness, for finances, for stability, for security. You don't want to rely on anyone. And what's so amazing when you really discover that true freedom of independence, that's when you meet the guy who's on the same level as you. That's when you meet the guy who doesn't complete you, but he complements you. That's what you want. So we're going to be talking about that today. We're also going to be talking about why you shouldn't have a child early. Listen, having a kid, I'm sure will be great, but there's no rush. This life is about you, developing you as the girl, as the woman, as the person that you're meant to be. You first. And this is really about developing you so you're confident, so you believe in yourself, so you go after life in a really big way without needing anybody, without having to rely on anyone, and without having anyone relying on you. That's why it's so important that this episode is about teaching you simple ways that you're going to start loving life in a different way. So stay tuned. The 3 ways girls kill their self-esteem. And every girl does this. And once you understand and once you hear what I'm saying today, you can have a better perspective on you, on your life, and how you've been holding yourself back. The whole goal of this is for you to realize that it's a simple fix once you're aware of what you're doing. So the first thing you want to be aware of is that your negative self-talk is a killer. It is a confidence killer. Every person does it. It's what we're saying to our own self in our mind. We are so mean to ourselves. So the first thing that girls do that really kills their confidence is the thought of, I'm not good enough. Now, every girl growing up at some point in time thinks, I'm not good enough, whether it be because she doesn't have as many friends as she wants, maybe because she's not having any boyfriends yet, maybe because she's not as smart as she thinks she should be, or her parents, she's looking for love from her parents in a way that she's not getting. It's the I'm not good enough. So let me just say this, and if you take anything away from today, I want you to realize that you are good enough. You are. And you know who makes you good enough? You. And guess what? You don't need anyone else's approval or validation to make you good enough. You have the power to make yourself good enough. And how do you do that? By being nicer to yourself in your own mind, about owning who you are, about not comparing yourself to other people. It's for good reason most girls lack self-esteem and confidence. Growing up, we're constantly being taught to compare ourselves to others, to look at magazines as to who we should be or what we should look like, to look to other people in our class, in our classes about who we should be or how we should act or, how our personality should be. We spend way too much time comparing ourselves to others instead of owning who we are, appreciating who we are, and really accepting who we are. We're so hard on ourselves and we expect we have these grandiose ideas about what we should look like, who we should be, and we're so hard on ourselves that we focus on what we don't have that we never give ourselves credit for what we do have. So the first way I want you to start thinking about things in a different way is that understanding that the mindset of I'm not good enough is just a mindset that you've created in your mind based on nonsense that you were taught growing up. So the first thing I want you to remember is bye to that. It's about how can I start appreciating myself? How do I start owning myself? How do I start giving myself credit? How do I be nicer to myself in my own mind? That is number 1. Number 2, I'm not smart enough. Every girl at some point in time has thought, I'm not smart enough. Now, let me just tell you about being smart, okay? because I'm going to tell you something that you probably have never been told before, but what is the real truth, okay? So often, I'm not going to say so often, I'm going to say pretty much always, okay? At age 6, when you go to school and you are put into certain classes based on your comprehension or tests that you take to decide what your education level is. How does anyone know at age 6 how smart they're going to be? How does anyone know at age 6 where they're going to excel and what they love? You don't know. But yet here at age 6, and I'm making that number up, or that age up, based on when someone goes to school, we dictate your brilliance by your ability to get good grades in school based on subjects that someone made up. Math, science, social studies, English. Like, yeah, I get they're all basically meant to be well-rounded, but maybe you're really creative. Maybe you're really artsy. Maybe you're really musically inclined. Maybe you don't love those things. So just think, if you are creative and you are very artsy, at age 6, you already feel as if you're not as intelligent as you are. Why? Because you're using benchmarks that someone else has made up to dictate how smart you are. That's BS. So what I want you to start doing is I want you to dictate your intelligence based on how you feel. Now, what does that mean? It means the more you focus on stuff that you love, what drives you, things that you find fun, the more you focus on that stuff, the more intelligent you're going to be, the more smarter you're going to be. Everyone has their own level of smartness. It's about liking yourself, feeling good about yourself, and focusing on what you love. Now, obviously, everyone has to go to school. You have the subjects that are there. It's about doing the best you can, but not feeling bad if you're not excelling in all those subjects, not feeling bad if you don't love all those subjects, not feeling bad if you're not a straight A student. You're not meant to be those things. And there are some kids that are, and that's great, and that's good for them, but that means their talents lie in a different way. Maybe your talents lie in a different way. So it's about owning and embracing who you are and understanding that you make yourself intelligent. Don't let your grades make you intelligent. The other thing is too, in life, the most successful people fail. They fail a lot. You have to be okay with failing. And guess what? When you're used to getting straight A's, chances are you're not going to want to fail. And if you do fail, you're going to feel like crap. So is that beneficial? Of course not. It's about understanding that your intelligence is based on what you make yourself smart at, what you love, what you were born meant to love. Not wanting to be what other people want you to be, but focusing on what you love. That makes you smart. You focusing on making you feel good about you. The third thing is, I'm not pretty enough. Now, I will tell you this is so common, and I've worked with gorgeous girls, and they too sometimes question and don't feel pretty. That's normal. Every girl at some point in time or in some days during the week don't feel pretty. That is normal, okay? But it's about you making yourself feel pretty. Listen, there are parts of our bodies that we maybe want to change or improve. That's called normal. Maybe there's parts of our appearance that we want to improve. That's called normal too. But it's about accepting who you are. You make yourself beautiful by focusing on what you like about yourself. I always say this, in life, you basically get, I don't know, I think you get many lives, but I'll just say in this lifetime, you have one. This lifetime is a one-shot deal. Freaking own it. Own all of it. You make yourself pretty by, first of all, and this is the biggest thing that I want you to hear, by your personality, by being happy, by being confident, by being nice, by being friendly, by being social, by being you, by liking you. Your personality dictates your attractiveness. That's the first thing. And secondly, how you look. You own how you look. If let's say you're not the weight that you want to be and maybe you would like to lose weight, who cares? Own who you are now. If you want to work on losing weight, that's cool too, but focus on who you are now and love yourself just because you only have one choice. You have to love yourself. That's it. So guys, just so you know, guys, girls, those 3 things are 3 things that have been holding you back because you've been thinking about things in the wrong way. It's first of all, you are worthy and you are enough. Secondly, you are freaking smart. Develop you. Develop what makes you you. That makes you smart. And number 3, you are pretty enough. You make yourself pretty first by your personality and your attitude. And secondly, by you owning who you are and what makes you pretty. Those are the 3 things that are holding girls back day in and day out. Work on those, be aware of those, and you will change your life. All right, guys, now we're going to talk about marriage, okay? I don't know how, and I guess it makes sense because when you think about the older generation, everyone got married really young. Now, we all know how that also turned out. Some people were in very loving, happy relationships, and some people weren't, and they just stayed together because that's what people did, but they weren't really happy. So what I want for the younger generation and for you who's watching to really think about marriage in a different way. For some reason, girls are taught growing up that the end-all be-all is to go to school, get good grades, get a job, possibly get married and have kids. Now, life is meant to be amazing for you. Why, oh why, is marriage the end-all be-all? Now, hear me out, okay? I want you to be so self-sufficient that you never have to rely on anybody else for your own happiness. The reason why this is important is because growing up, I feel like girls are taught that their existence has to do with one day finding a partner who's going to complete them. Well, that is the opposite of how it works, okay? I don't want someone to complete you. I want someone to complement you. And the best compliment to you that you can find is when you're super sufficient with yourself, by yourself. So let me explain. In life, you're only going to have one person that you're going to be able to rely on your entire lifetime. Only one. That is you. So if you don't develop yourself first, which means that you don't make sure that you're really happy with yourself by yourself, that you don't find financial security within yourself by yourself, then when you find a partner, you're not going to really be in the best, most confident state that you could be. And then what happens is, then you end up, and this happens a lot when it comes to relationship, instead of finding happiness within, you rely on your partner for your happiness. You rely on your partner for financial well-being. That is the opposite of what I want girls to learn. I want girls to be confident within themselves. I want girls to know that they can make money themselves. I want girls to know that their happiness relies on them, not on someone else. So when it comes to marriage, there is no rush. Plus, in life, you grow and evolve. Who you are at 20 is going to be so different than who you were at 30. Who you are at 40 is going to be so different than who you were at 30. So when you're in life and you're growing and you're evolving by your experiences, right? So if, let's say, you're in one job and then you get promoted and then you get a little bit more confidence because you're at a bigger level job, and every level of success requires a different level of confidence, right? So you're going to always be growing. And what happens is when you get married too young, sometimes you grow apart because the person that you're with, their drive is different than yours. And so that's what makes for some unhappy relationships. Now, there's always divorce. Am I a promoter of divorce? Of course not. I'm a promoter of happiness. So there's no right or wrong when it comes to marriage. But what I do want most girls to know, and actually every girl to know, not most, that life is so much bigger than getting married and having kids. I want you to be happy. I want you to have a purpose. I want you to be excited every day you wake up. I want you to be so confident in yourself that you never need anyone but yourself. Why is that important? Because when you're that person and you're constantly developing yourself and you believe in yourself and you know that you're worthy, then when you meet a partner, you're going to meet a partner on a whole different level. You're going to meet a partner just like you, someone who's confident, someone who has a purpose, someone that's going to complement you, not complete you, okay? Because that whole complete thing, it drives me nuts. You want to be complete by yourself, not need a partner to make you complete. Plus, like I said, the more you're living the life that you want to live single, the more you're going to be able to find someone who's the right partner as opposed to someone who's not the right partner. So again, marriage is cool. I think it's fun. However, it's not a necessity. And marriage is not right for everyone too. So if you're like, Con, I'm really not into getting married, that's cool too. But again, it's about you making your own decision, but knowing that I want you to be happy and confident by yourself, because that is true independence. Independence for any woman is true freedom, and that is the freedom every woman is looking for. The next part of that is kids. For some reason, there's this rush or desire that as a girl, you have to have kids early on, right? And maybe you want to be a young mom and maybe not, but things are very different, where I want you to be self-sufficient by yourself. When you have a child, your priorities change, your responsibilities change. Life is about you finding your own happiness, by you finding your own self. When you have a child too young, you hinder yourself from finding you in an easy way. It makes it more difficult, because not only you only having to rely on yourself and make sure you have what you need, you have someone who's also relying on you as well. And that makes it harder. So do I want life to be hard for you? Absolutely not. I am the promoter of easy, fun, loving life. So you will be an amazing mom. But it's about you exploring and developing yourself first. So that way when you have a child, you can be that happy, confident mom that inspires her child to do the same. And you're able to live life in a different way because you had enough time where you were able to develop yourself as a single person, as someone who was able to really, maximize your life experience without having to have responsibility for other people, without really finding your own happiness for yourself first. So kids are awesome, but there's no rush. And I know sometimes some girls are like, oh, my biological clock. Don't worry about it. You're going to be totally fine. But again, I don't want you to rush marriage, and I don't want you to rush kids. I want you to rush you finding your own happiness and confidence within yourself and independence within yourself, because that really is the true freedom. Making your own money is a true freedom. Never having to rely on anyone is a true freedom. And why? Because you don't know that your partner is going to be with you forever. You just don't know. And do you ever want to put yourself in a position where you're reliant on someone else for financial well-being or your happiness? Absolutely not. Definitely not. So it's about you developing you and working on you. That is the most important thing. And what I want you to really take away out of this episode is knowing that you have the power to make this all happen. So just to recap, the 3 things that girls think that totally hold them back and kill their self-confidence are the 3 lame mindset excuses of, I'm not good enough, which you and I both know it's not true. And we have the ability to make it true or not, but it's about giving ourselves credit, being nicer to ourselves in our own mind, right? Being our own best friends, our own biggest cheerleader. Like, you're all you got this lifetime. Even when you do get married and you do get kids, you're still all you got. Because unless you're happy, you can't give anything. Unless you're happy, you can't give true happiness to anyone else. You have to be true happy first. And then from there, you can inspire other people. And plus, in addition, when you're really happy with yourself and you accept yourself and you're happy with yourself, then your marriage is even greater. Your marriage is even more awesome. Your kids are more awesome. It makes everything even better because you're happy with yourself first. So number one, knowing that you're worthy. Number two, knowing that you're smart enough. And again, smart and your intelligence, it's not based on your grades, and it's not based on what people think about you. It's based on what you think about you. And you make yourself smart by doing what you love, focusing on what you love, being okay that you're not going to love everything. You're not meant to love everything. Just think, if you were born loving everything, you wouldn't know how to spend your time. You wouldn't know what to do. So if you're a crafty person, spend time doing crafts. If you love music, spend time doing music. If you love math, spend time doing whatever that would entail. If you love science, spend time doing that. Do what you love. And when you focus your time doing what you love, that builds your intelligence. That makes you smart. That makes you happy and in love with life because you're doing what you love to do. And you don't need other people's validations or approval on what's right for you. Only you know what's right for you. So listen to yourself and don't be confused or don't be easily influenced by the people around you, including your parents who love and adore you. Your parents love and adore you, but they don't know what's best for you always. Only you do. You know what you love and you know what makes you happy. And thirdly, it's the I'm not pretty enough. Every girl always compares herself to what she sees in a magazine, what other people look like, what's supposed to be the perfect looking way to look, whatever the hell that means. So it's about you owning it and knowing that pretty is based on your personality first. And it's about you being happy and you being positive and optimistic and really, being the best version of you. That makes you pretty. And also appreciating the physical qualities about yourself that you love and really not being hard on yourself. And of course, like I said, with girls and guys, there's always things that we would love to improve about ourselves. And if there are things that you want to improve and maybe you want to lose a couple of pounds or you want to start exercising, like that's cool. But make sure you accept yourself and be accepting of yourself and really be kind to yourself and know that, again, you're all you got. So you have to really appreciate and learn to embrace who you are. And if you want to change things down the road, that's fine too, but just embrace who you are today and knowing that you are pretty enough. You make yourself pretty. You own who you are. And again, it all starts with your personality. The other thing is understanding that this life is about you. And in the Start Loving Life philosophy, which I've created and is the foundation to everything I teach in my coaching practice, it's based on two very important things that every person needs to learn. And it's something that people don't learn in school. It's how to start loving yourself, something that we're not taught to do. Just think, when we're in school, we don't really focus on what subjects we're great at. We focus on what subjects need improvement. And usually those subjects are the ones that we don't like. Isn't that so odd? So not only do we focus on what we don't love, no, we don't focus on what we love, we focus on what we don't love, right? Which makes us then feel bad because we're making us aware that there are things that we're not good at, where in essence, maybe you weren't meant to be good at that. So it's about loving yourself, loving the person that you were born to be, the gifts that you were born with, the talents that you were born with, the personality that you were born with. It's about owning and loving that person and not needing anyone else's permission, not needing your parents' permission, not needing teachers' permissions, needing your permission only. It's about owning it. And there's no right or wrong either. Only you know what's best for you. And it's about you embracing that part of you. And you have the power to do it. Secondly, the second thing most people don't learn growing up and go their entire lives not learning, it's how to start loving life. How do you appreciate the things around you? There are always going to be things in life that you want, and when you get it, there's going to be other things that you want. but it's about appreciating the stuff that you have. What do you have in life that you can love? And maybe you live in a house and maybe you want a bigger house, but appreciate the house that you have. Maybe you have a car, but you want a nicer car. Appreciate the fact that you have a car. Maybe you have a job and you don't love it, and maybe you want to be doing something else, but appreciate the job that you have that can maybe pay the bills and is making things easier for you as opposed to not having a job. So Start Loving Life is about looking at life in a very different way. It's about being more open to appreciating what you have. And of course, like I said, you're always going to want for more, but not being mean to yourself because you don't have it yet, or not being mean to yourself because you're not farther along than maybe you want to be, or you're not making as much money as you want to be. It's about being nice to yourself and appreciating what you do have in your current life, and the things that we take for granted, and the fact that the sun shines, and the fact that you have a roof over your head, and the fact that maybe you have a job, and the fact that you have a loving family. It's appreciating what you have in life now. Start Loving Life is also about reacting to things in a more positive way. And listen, life is going to throw you curveballs. We're going to have bad days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have bad moments. Things are going to happen. But it's how do you react to it? Do you get all bent out of shape? Do you get cranky because things aren't going your way? Or do you accept the fact that, you know what, this isn't really ideal. This isn't going to be forever. So what can I do to change it? What actions can I do today to make tomorrow better? To make tomorrow better. And also realizing too, and this is another tip that I'll just throw in here, and I'll probably make this a separate video, but when you're having off moments, be okay with it. Acknowledge the fact that you're going to have off moments. Acknowledge that it's okay to have tough times and to have moments that you're more sensitive or that you're upset about something. But the best thing that you could do, and this is what I find super helpful for me, and I do this, and I tell a lot of my kids that I work with on how to do this, take a nap. Right? So if you're having a bad time, or things aren't working out, or you're stressed out, sometimes with my business, I have all these ideas and then I overwhelm myself, and then I get a headache, and I know why I have a headache. It's because I'm stressing myself out by what I'm thinking. I'll take a nap, and it really does work because it forces you to stop thinking about things, and it forces you to stop thinking about negative things. So appreciate life. So the two things I want you to really definitely think about as we close out this episode is life is about two things. It's about loving you and loving life. And that really is the answer that you're looking for. And when you do those two things, that's where happiness comes from. That's where confidence comes from. That's where financial success comes from. That's where true freedom comes from. It's about how to start loving life. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had so much fun hanging out with you guys. And for more information on my coaching practice and me in general, you can check out startlovinglife.com. And otherwise, I will see you next episode. Hey guys, it's Connie here. Today's episode is going to be about 3 ways you're going to move forward from COVID-19. Bye. So guys, the first step is you're going to stop feeling guilty, okay? So listen to what I just said. Stop feeling guilty. So if you ate yourself into oblivion, if you drank yourself into a hot mess, and you gained a bunch of weight, stop feeling bad. So the biggest thing you want to realize is that the last couple of months have been really weird and really strange for everyone. Did anyone ever imagine that we would be quarantined in our homes for months? Like seriously, if we had better advance notice of this, we would have planned better, right? I almost had a heart attack when I thought the liquor stores were going to close, but luckily they didn't. So what you want to remember is this is a really weird time for everyone. So we all did things that we probably haven't done in a while, like sleep a lot, do a lot of nothing, be super lazy. For me, I actually worked a lot on my business, which I was really happy about. It gave me a lot of time to like catch up, but that doesn't have to be the case for everyone. And plus, I slacked a lot too. I slept around. I basically had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is something I never do. But when you have so much time on your hands, how could you not? So the first part of moving on from COVID-19 is to really remember that you don't want to feel guilty or you don't want to feel bad about anything you did or didn't do during this weird, crazy time period of being home, okay? So the part that this is all about today, realizing it's how to move forward in a positive, better, more productive way and kind of leaving the past behind, okay? So don't feel guilty, don't feel bad. Today is a fresh day. Number 2. All right, so it's been a couple of months. We've been home and some of us have been out, and maybe you have been working, maybe you haven't, but a majority of us have been home. What I want you to think about is something very different than the first step, which is about not feeling guilty. I want you to think about something that we normally aren't accustomed to do or we're not really taught to do, and that's what could you be proud of the last couple of months? And so it doesn't have to be anything major or huge, but what can you be proud of? I know for me, when this whole thing went down, going to a store was very intimidating. I didn't know what to expect. You know, you hear all this stuff on the news, which I don't watch, but I get my news through Jeff, and he'll just kind of relay whatever he feels is the most important things. But I don't kind of listen to things that bring me down or that are kind of negative, so I kind of don't. But going to the store for the first time, and I remember food shopping was intimidating. And I normally go shopping, well, Jeff sometimes comes, but I normally go during the day when he's working. And the first time I had to go food shopping, I was a little scared. You know, I had to put a mask on, I had to put gloves on. And I remember that Jeff and I decided to pick a day during the week that we were going to go food shopping together. And since then, we go food shopping. We go on Thursdays, like during the day, because not many people are there. Now, don't go, okay, just because I said not many people are there. But so we usually go, and we actually use it like, we do it as a game. Like, how fast can we get in? How fast can we get out? You get this, I get this. And what's good about it, and the reason why I said going to the food store was a bit intimidating, is because now there's so many rules and regulations, and rightfully so. But you just don't know. I remember for the first time in the supermarket, you know, you see these arrows on the floor. You're like, all right, what happens if I pass something I want on the aisle? And like, can I back up? Do I have to go entirely around the aisle? You know, so there were so many thoughts that were going in my head, and having Jeff there made it easier because, you know, if I forgot something, he can run and get it, or, you know, the whole waiting 6 feet in line apart, and there were just lots to think about when you think about food shopping. And for me, my focus is, what am I getting? What do I not want to forget? What do I want to make sure I get while I'm there, right? Like, you're going through your shopping list of like what you're cooking, what you're going to be cooking, what you would like to be cooking. So that in itself is enough, much less having to think about all these new rules and regulations in store. So for me, I'm kind of proud of the fact that I've kind of gotten it down, as well as I'm sure you have too, where most stores are working a little differently, operating a little differently. So it's just navigating that whole new piece. And it sounds really simple, and it really is, but I'm going to be proud of myself for the fact that I've gotten acclimated to what that looks like. And so when I say, what can you be proud of? It really is, what little thing could you be proud of? And maybe, you know, maybe you didn't clean your entire house like you always thought you would if you had months off, but maybe you took more naps, or maybe you rested more, or maybe you relaxed more, or maybe you read some books, or maybe you had more conversations with the people in your house, which I'm sure that's happened. So the question is, what can you be proud of during the last couple of months? And it could be anything. It could also be, maybe you left the house, maybe you walked around the block, maybe you got more fresh air than normal. So it's really about thinking, what can you be proud of? Because there's always something that you can be proud of. And again, it doesn't have to be big. It could be as small as trying a new food or getting more exercise or getting outside more. It's whatever you make it be. Next is number 3. And I love this question because it kind of really puts things in perspective. And this is really the most important thing I want you to ask yourself. It's, how could this COVID-19 situation make me a better person? How has it made me a better person? And the reason I want you to kind of think about that is because in life, there's always going to be something that you don't want. It could be just a bad experience of something. And the question is, what was your takeaway from it? What did you learn from it? What did you now have a new appreciation for where before you didn't? The question about this is, maybe you appreciate life more. I know for me, not that I didn't appreciate life before, but you definitely do take for granted leaving your house. You take for granted going to Home Goods, which is like one of my favorite stores. You take for granted going to Target. And I know Target is still open, but you take for granted going to a store without wearing a mask or wearing gloves. You take for granted, and I know for me, this is something that has been very powerful to me when I go to stores, in the fact that I love to smile. Like, I just love to smile. I don't know, I find it fun. And when you have a mask on, it's weird because no one sees you smile. So when I go to the deli counter to order food, or if I'm at a register, you really have to give off energy of appreciation and kind of smile with your eyes. You know how they say that? Just because I want people to know that I appreciate them, and I want the energy to be fun and lighthearted. And I know people are all trying to do their best. And so for me, I love to smile. And so I have a whole new appreciation for smiling and people seeing it. So, looking at life differently. Also, maybe looking at your job differently. If you did work during this crazy time period, maybe appreciating the fact that you have been employed and you have had a paycheck, and maybe you haven't loved your job before. And maybe this is just having you understand that, wow, I'm in an industry where my job was essential and I was needed and I was able to work. Or maybe on the flip side, maybe you weren't able to work, and maybe it made you realize that one day you want to be your own boss, and you don't want to be at the mercy of a company that tells you you're laid off because a pandemic happened. So maybe it inspires you to kind of create something on your own, and maybe it inspires you to update your resume and look online and look for something new. And so what I want you to take away from, how has this made me a better person? It's how can you appreciate things in a bigger, better way as a result of what we just went through. And another thing I just want to actually mention too, which is something very near and dear to my heart when we talk about servicemen and servicewomen who have really worked through this pandemic, and like we talk about doctors and nurses and hospitals and all those healthcare workers that have done such an amazing job of showing up each and every day and really being on the front lines and really taking care of people as best as they could in this crazy situation. But I hope it also gives insight to appreciate the jobs that I feel most people don't, and they really should. And I know in our area where we live, there have been times where I've gone to restaurants and I appreciate the waiters and waitresses and the service people that help assist, give us our food, and I appreciate them. And I know it's a hard job. When I was younger, I think I was a waitress for one day. That's all I could handle. And how they really work for us. Hold on one second, it's my bunnies. Hi, bunnies! What's going on? Great, how are you? How was your day? Sorry guys, that was Jeff. Anyway, so appreciating the people that work in restaurants. Restaurants are a really hard job, right? Like, I appreciate the people that serve food and are on their feet all day, every day, listening to different orders, and appreciate them. Be nice to them. Now that things are starting to open up, be kind to them. They're going to screw up. There's new processes. There's new way of doing things. Be cool. Don't be a jerk. Don't feel entitled. Okay, so appreciate them. The other one is appreciate those working in retail. You know, I worked in retail for years when I was younger, and I loved it. But working in retail is hard. You have annoying customers. You work crazy hours, especially during the holiday. Like when you're shopping in Macy's at 11 p.m. on a Friday before Christmas, are you appreciating the fact that these people are working there to ring up your order so you could have lovely presents for your family? Probably not. Or when it's Christmas and I need gas because I was too lazy to get it the night before, and I pull up to a gas station and there's a guy working at the gas station who is there to make sure I have my gas. Like, how cool is that? Or like the sanitation workers that work in the winter and in the summer, you know, taking care of our trash and making sure that we're able to have that, you know, lovely service, and the post office, and just everyone. You know, I could be here like for days just, you know, showing appreciation for every single job that's out there. And not all of it's easy, and some of it's hard, a lot of it's hard. So I guess what my biggest thing is, don't be a jerk. Appreciate everyone. Plus, we have no idea what people are going through, and it's kind of just called just being nice. And why? Just because it feels good. So again, the third tip, how has this pandemic made me a better person? That's what I want you to really think about, and use that as leverage on how you want to move forward, and how you want to move forward in an even more powerful, positive way in your life as a result. And think about how this time period has really caused so many new realizations and aha moments, and how we're going to be moving forward in a new direction, whichever that may be, like with the masks and all that. But we're going to just go with the flow. And I ask you to do the same thing, because when you go with the flow and you look for the positives, and it's not always easy, and it really does require some effort, but it's so worth the effort because you do feel so much better. So I want you to really think about how this time can really have benefited you, and how you're going to use this time, and not the time like before, but like this time, like as you're watching this video, how you're going to start to look at your life differently moving forward, and how you're going to leverage this time to propel your life in a bigger way. So again, just to reiterate, the top 3 ways to move forward the top 3 ways to move forward from COVID-19. Number 1, don't feel guilty, don't feel bad. Anything you did in the last couple of months, just get over it. You're fine. If you gain weight, whatever, just start walking tomorrow, or like working out, like, I don't know. Just don't worry about it, okay? Just focus on how you're gonna lose weight if that's what you really wanna do. Not saying it's necessary, but if that's what you wanna do, fine. If you wanna start eating differently and healthier, fine, knock yourself out. Just whatever you do, don't feel bad about what you have or haven't done in the last couple of months. Secondly, be proud of yourself just for surviving. I hate that word actually, but just for getting through this and making the best of it if you did. And if you had the worst of it and you had some tough times and you were emotional, that's cool too. It's called life. It's called, you know, learning how to process things and move forward. And so just know you made it. So that's a really good thing. So be proud of yourself for whatever little thing it could be. And lastly, of course, how can this situation make me a better person to even create an even bigger, more amazing life, and feeling really happy and feeling confident in myself? You know, what did I learn during this experience that I could parlay into my future to make it even better and brighter? So guys, I hope you love this video. I love you guys very much. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I will be seeing you in the next video. Okay guys, so the one confidence killer that everyone does and does not realize it is negative self-talk. It's what we say to ourselves in our own mind and don't even realize it. So let me give you a perfect example of how you start your day. All right, so you wake up in the morning, and how you wake up in the morning sets the intention of your whole day, sets the mindset for the whole day, sets your attitude for the whole day. Mornings are super important. So I always recommend that you start your morning in the best way possible. So if you know that you're getting up with not enough time to get ready and not stress out, I would highly recommend you get up earlier. I know that sounds so annoying because for me, I'm not a morning person, but I also know my days when I am rushing in the morning do not go well at all. So for me, and I learned this a long time ago, years and years ago, I always make sure I wake up with more than enough time to get ready and do what I have to do in the morning. Because once you realize how important your mornings are, you never ever want to risk having a crappy day because you had a crappy morning. So make sure you get up with the amount of time, with the right, more than enough time to get ready. So like sometimes it sounds crazy. I'll get up like 2.5 hours early because I spend an hour reading books, drinking coffee. Sounds crazy, I know. And then when I get ready and take a shower, I got to feed the dog, I got to walk the dog. So I have a little routine that works for me. Not saying that you have to, but mornings are very important. So get up with the right amount of time, with more than enough time to get ready. Secondly, you get out of bed and let's say you're starving. So let's say you want to eat a bagel. But in that moment that you say, oh, I would really love to have a bagel, but I can't have a bagel now because I need to lose weight. And if I have carbs, then I'm certainly going to gain weight. And I've been this weight for so long and I don't like being this weight and I really need to lose weight. Can you imagine? And then you go into your closet and you're looking for something to wear and you look at your clothes and you don't love the clothes there because you can't find nothing to wear. And you're like, well, I would wear this, but I can't fit into this because I gained a couple of pounds over COVID. And really, I need more clothes and I need newer clothes. These clothes are so old, but I don't make enough money to buy these new clothes. And so then you leave your closet and then, you're rushing because you didn't get up with enough time. And then you feel bad because you are rushing. So just think, it's only been 20 minutes of your morning and you're already thinking negative, 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 negative. And people don't even realize that you do that all day, every day. So the most important thing you want to know about your morning is that you want to set it with the right intention, right? So you want to remember that you have to be aware of what you're thinking. And if you're not, you're going to know by how you feel. Because anytime you're thinking negative thoughts, you feel like crap. You stress out, you worry, you're anxious. So it's about being aware of what you're thinking in that moment. And again, your emotions are going to tell you how you're feeling and what you're thinking about. So what do you do then? Well, like I said, you want to get up with the right amount of time that you can get ready comfortably and have a good morning. Secondly, you're going to catch yourself when you start to think crappy thoughts. So let's say you wake up and you really feel like a bagel. I could have a bagel right now and I'll feel bloated. Or you know what? I'm not going to have a bagel, but I'm going to be okay with it because I really want to feel good today. So I'm going to have something else instead. Then you're going to go into your closet and you're going to look for clothes. And you're going to, instead of looking at the clothes and the clothes that you don't have or the clothes that you wish you had, you're going to look at the clothes and you're going to say, I love that I have clothes. I may not have clothes that I would love, and I may not have clothes that I'd ideally want to wear today, but I'm going to make the best of it, and I'm going to find whatever outfit I think would be the most comfortable for today, right? So, and then you're going to leave your closet, and you're going to say, you know what? I'm looking forward to work today. I'm going to see Sally Sue at work. It's going to be a good day. I'm excited about today. It's going to be fun. So basically what you're doing is you're talking yourself into a better day. And it sounds really weird, but this works because what you don't realize is your negative self-talk in the morning is setting up your whole day, sets up your attitude and personality for the day. When you start to talk to yourself in the morning in a positive way, and again, you don't have to be like Pollyanna, like, oh my God, my life's so great if it's not, but just look for the positives. Look for the fact that you have an alarm clock that woke you up. Look forward to the fact that you have a job that you're going to, even if you don't love it. But look forward to the fact that this job affords you a paycheck, right? So it's about looking for the positives in everything and being aware of your self-talk in the morning. You have the power to set your day. Do it on purpose.